Hi there. Hi there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm sure you're watching in replay mode if you're catching these first couple seconds of the beginning of this. We're always so thankful for each and every one of you that join us here on Cultivate Weekly. Today, we're going to be talking about stealing our process. So, we over the years have developed kind of techniques and streamlines, hopefully, for creating content for ourselves and for our clients. And so we just wanted to kind of break down some of those things. Hopefully, you'll find some nuggets and maybe some things that you might want to try to adapt into your process as well. And so today we're going to be talking about tools. Today we're going to be talking about strategies, etc., to be able to formulate your content creation process. My name is Elizabeth Doss, and I am a social media consultant and a GIF artist. I help brands and businesses create animated GIFs to leverage across social and emails on their websites. And text messages, all of the things. And so I love helping create libraries for my clients to have reactions to things that are branded to their brand and to their personality and all the things. So if you're curious, let me know. I'm going to hand things over to Steph to introduce herself and maybe to get us started, Steph, to think about idea generation and how you come up with how do you start to gather ideas as you're going. Oh, I can't hear you, Steph. I think you might be muted.
You know what? After 5 years of doing the whole virtual meetings, you would think at some point I would remember to make sure I'm unmuted before I start talking. To kick it off, I'm Stephanie Gillis-Palgard. I'm the brand architect behind Take Roots Consulting. Actually, the agency celebrated 10 years earlier in May. Hard to believe, but I do. I help businesses tell their stories, build out their brands, create that awareness and conversation through those traditional media outlets, as well as our favorite free tools, also known as a social media. So digging into today's topic of stealing our own strategies and our processes, one of the things I wanted to maybe touch on first and lean into, Elizabeth, is, again, as you said, where am I farming my ideas from? Where am I going to now? I've been in this space for a while, right? Over 25 years doing the PR marketing comms thing, and it's evolved. But at the end of the day, some of those foundational places of where we know that we can always farm for content for ourselves are those questions we're asked over and over and over again, those frequently asked questions, those FAQs. And so when you start to think about in your business based on your product, your service, how you show up to serve or help your clients, what are some of those FAQs, frequently asked questions, that you can start to create content around, whether that's inspirational content, whether that's educational content, it's how to, from the educational bucket of here's a step by step that allows you to do X to achieve Y, and start to do those fill in the blanks. The good thing is if they're frequently asked questions, chances are they also fall into a bucket that we call evergreen content. Right. So if you're asked a question over and over and over again about your product or your service, about how you do what you do that makes you you, then you can start to shed light on that by repurposing these FAQs into different types of content. Also, thinking about what's evergreen, what will never change about my industry, how I do what I do, what makes me unique in my experience. Throwing it back to you, Elizabeth. I
Yes.
know I've bunched a whole bunch in already because this is how it is. And for me, when I throw it back to you, I want to maybe lob you this.
Oh,
You have shared with us time and time again your, like, let's say, cake pop strategy
yeah.
and how that works. We've talked a little bit over the weeks about mind mapping and
Mhm.
trying to create those buckets. So you explain it a little differently. And I know as we share the tips and tricks, the strategies, the processes that we use, sometimes they land or resonate differently with people. So jump on into the cake pop strategy, please.
Yes, definitely. If I had time, I'd pull up my whole PowerPoint presentation. Maybe we'll do that someday, um, where I go through all of that. But mind mapping is a great way to do this, and it's kind of putting that central idea or theme of what you're working on, and then like pulling out all these offshoots of how it can be used or talked about, because we get stuck in our one way that we want to talk about our product. And we seem to forget that we have all these places that we could farm for it. So a lot of times people have products that are made to solve a problem. And if you can find out what that problem is, then a whole section of your mind mapping can be what is someone experiencing that my product is the solution for. We've talked about, and then all the different avatars, the different people that are purchasing your product. Start to map that out and say why would they want this, or and then thinking about how can I create content that 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 uh, pie slice of my sales people would find. So let's say I always use this example though, Steph. So I hope it doesn't annoy people, but like candles, how can I think about candles in different ways? Because a lot of people will buy a candle for themselves. So you could go the whole self care route. If you're targeting moms who are busy, then think about how you could show the chaos of the day and then the quietness of the bath with the candle, or the book with the candle. Like, so contrasting someone's day to say this is a solution for that part of your day. Treat yourself to this. If it's a hostess gift, start thinking about the holidays that are coming up and thinking through how can I, one, create a product that is for this, but also that harnesses that. So I don't know why Halloween's jumping in my brain right now, but like, how do you create a Halloween scent for your candle? But how do you make it spooky, or format it in that? And so starting to map out those things. But one thing Steph's talking about the cake pop side of things is something I find is a lot of times the topic that I want to talk about is bigger than the 90 seconds that of a reel that you get on Facebook. By the way, you can put longer video on Facebook, but they are still looking for that 90-second or less reel to serve it up in a certain way. So even though I think Instagram can do 3 minutes, 9 minutes, YouTube could do, whatever. Same with LinkedIn, you can have a 10-minute video. I highly recommend, if you're going to create content, create it to the shortest common denominator so that when you can redistribute it across all the platforms without one of them cutting parts of it off or filing it under a different vein. So that's just a freebie there. But so the cake pop strategy is, yes, I may have a bigger topic that I want to talk about, but how can I break that 5 things that to know about grooming your dog or finding a groomer for your dog? I do not have a dog, and I've never gone to a groomer, so I don't know why this is the topic that I'm choosing. But I could break those down. I could have a longer video like that for YouTube or even for Facebook, or like that's a longer format. But then I could go back and break that down into reels, into smaller things, and have these little nuggets to do. But then also maybe even add the link in the comments of those things that points back to the longer video that says, if you liked this one idea for this, if you want to watch the full video, then go and check this part out. But for me, Steph, on the idea side of things, is staying on top of trends. So I've talked about this before, setting up Google alerts for things, but also following industry leaders, because we're in the social media kind of things. I do follow Adam Mosseri, I follow Mark Zuckerberg, I follow these different. I follow the Instagram for Business account, the creators account that's on Instagram. I follow these because they are always the first that show the new features or the things that are new. And for me, I love telling my audience about those things. Now, that's my particular niche. But if you're in real estate, then you should be following people that are at the cutting edge of real estate information. If you are into tech stuff, following these things, and subscribing to newsletters, because this is a place that you can form content. It's an easy place for you to just talk about what's going on rather than you having to reinvent the wheel, but you're also giving a reason for your community to keep coming back because you're highlighting these things. So if you're a local business, staying up to date with local events and other things that are going on so that you attend them or you highlight them and you cross pollinate with other local businesses and stuff like that. It's a great way to do it. My final thing before I throw it back to you, if you have any more on the idea process, I'm not sure, but I do work with clients, and one of the hard things is harnessing ideas. And so I was actually talking to ChatGPT about it a couple months ago, and it gave me this suggestion, and then it made it for me, guys. Okay, listen to this. It made the suggestion of creating a Google form that's easy for my client to fill out with all of the bits, and then it generates a Google sheet from that form. Now, this is apparently an easy process, and if you don't know how to do it, you can ask ChatGPT, and it will walk you through how to do this. But what I've created is a way for my client to quickly drop an idea, and now we have it in a Google sheet form, so that I can then start to break it down. And we'll move into this part in the next little bit about breaking down how to create the content. But what I love about it is that these ideas that are just like these ethereal a side mention while I'm together with a client doing a video shoot, they may mention something else. I can quickly add it to that. And now it's in a centralized place that both of us can access and see where we are in the map on it. So this form has the idea in it, but then it says the assets that are needed. And so I'll say, well, we still need to shoot this intro. We still need a voiceover for this. I need to capture B-roll for this part. And so, and we'll get into that part in just a second. But I wanted to include that in you thinking through about how you harness your ideas. And so, Steph, I would love to hear about how you harness your ideas.
Well, I think that something that we often overlook, and we have to give ourselves grace, ideas actually can come from anywhere, right? And they can come at any time. And so, depending on how you like to get that out of your head and into something that's tangible that then you can act on, makes my life certainly easier. So, whether that's a voice note to myself,
Yeah.
maybe that is also, I'm victim of the scroll
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And I'm inspired by other creators all the time. I mean, how do they think, or how do we think trends actually happen? It's people jumping on board, right? Some idea that started somewhere, and then it starts to have this domino effect. But also suggest that if you're inspired, so one of the tips I always give, because I was guilty of on Instagram, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram Reels, wherever you find yourself doing the scroll and watching the videos, you can send those to yourself. You
Mhm.
can send those to yourself with notes on how you're going to break it down. And that's how I started the process. This was like 2+ years ago. And then I was like, okay, this is actually ridiculous because I have all these ideas that I'm sending to myself, but I'm actually not even getting them into this draft form.
Yeah.
So then I went one step further and went, okay, no, no, no. If you're familiar enough with the apps, so in Instagram, if you want to create that, you start to use the template, if you will, and then make your own. So I go into either, if it's a used audio, I use the audio right away. I start to create the reel. I may not have everything sorted out in my mind,
Mhm.
but I'm inspired already, right? So before that idea leaves me, I want to make sure that I'm capturing it. And so, what I'll do is use the audio. I will grab some video content of wherever I am. It doesn't matter because you can always go back and edit the video, right? With whatever the pieces are and drop notes on it,
Yeah.
or add something in, move already to the caption and say, this is the pieces that I want to do, and then go back. Because then at least I'd like to say at least halfway there. I'd still have to go back and flesh it out unless it happens very quickly. So I just want to give people grace and the permission to give yourself grace as you're trying to navigate between so many platforms that are out there. Inspiration for content creation can happen at any time, but you don't want to lose the idea. So try to come up with your own process, whether it's like those that I've suggested already, the voice notes, the sending a reel to yourself, which you can do again with little notes, or starting to create that reel by using a trending audio or something else that you see. So you get yourself into the mode of creation. And then, of course, you have to block out time. Give yourself some grace in this very busy world and life that we live in to go back and finish that. And Elizabeth, you're a good constant reminder and positive voice in my mind that getting it out there and just pushing post is better than it being perfect. Being able to give yourself grace to go, yeah, you know what? I'm not a full-time content creator. I don't get paid to make content. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a professional editor. But can I do some basic things within app? Of course, anybody can. And the apps themselves are making it easier and easier for the non-techie, the non-creatives that want to still be creative. They've built these functionalities within platform to keep you there and to get you creating content. So start with grace first.
Exactly, exactly. So, Steph, I wanted to show us this very quickly. Let's see if it'll work today, guys, because my computer loves to be a pain. All right, here we go. Can you see my phone screen, Steph? Good. Okay. So, in the realm of collecting ideas, this little edits button right here is a huge deal. This is the Instagram edits thing. So I'm opening it up really quick. This is a great place for ideas. It's this little guy here at the bottom that's the sticky button, but you can create little stickies, aka post-it notes, to drop ideas. So you can write down candle, self-care, something. Anyway, I'm just gonna pretend like that's a thing. And now I have a sticky here, and I can start creating my stickies, and I can add shots that I need to get, all that type stuff. But what's really cool, Steph, is you can also go to any reel that you have saved on Instagram, because I'm connected to my Instagram here in edits. I can go to any reel that I have saved on here, and I can go through and say, oh, yeah, I saved that one because of this. Sorry, I was doing a lot of camp activities. So there's a lot of kids stuff in here right now, more than usual. But so you can do that. You can also go to any audio that you have saved. So, like the trending audios, like Steph was talking about, and you can click on it and you will actually be able to repurpose that and create content from it. But if you've ever saved things and created collections, you can also have these collections side of things. And so it's a great way for you to go in and farm. So like I have a one called Reels Ideas to Make. And so I save things in here if I'm for later, to start. So I can start with a bank that I already have going on. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys what this can be like. And also, real quick, while we're still in here, Steph. Okay, I can't do that part. But when you're in the creation mode right here, you have access to a green screen, so you can change the background of your phone to do a presentation, etc. Or like screenshot an article if you want to talk about an article that's trending in your niche. But here's the big kicker: you can create your own teleprompter, add your own script, so you're looking at the camera as you're reading. And what's cool is right here you can change the size of the text, so it can be smaller or bigger based on how far away the camera is, etc. And you can change the teleprompter speed, so however fast you talk or slow you talk, you can change the speed of it here. And it's a really great way for you to be able to create that content there. Okay, so I want to move on because I know we are over halfway and we are only still in the idea phase. So for me in the content creation process, it's very important once I have the idea to write out my shot list. And so I will write down if I need a voiceover, if I need to write a script for it, if I need B-roll for it, if I need to make sure that I do a certain motion, if I need to do a screen recording to show like what I just did on how to use this thing. So I will map out the things that I need to collect for that, any props that I need for it. It's kind of the whole thing. But even for my clients, I do the same thing. If we have an idea, I will write out the shot list to make sure, okay, I need to get an intro or a hook for this. I need, they usually are responsible for the meaty parts in the middle, and then the outro side of call to action side of things, Steph. So I'm curious, Steph, once you have the idea, how do you plan or map out the creation of the content?
Well, you sound so organized, Elizabeth, and I'm thinking mine is not as tight. I'll go through it. This is again people that attack work differently, right? And how the mind works.
Yeah.
So as you were going through and sharing with us your process, I'm like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that.
Right.
Yep. And like
Right.
check the box.
Right.
Is it in the same way? No, because the brain for me might start with the words and then go, oh, and now I
Yeah.
need this
Yes.
video, this whatever. And
Right.
so it's really just about getting comfortable about how we think through content. There really is, and it may be an unpopular opinion, but there's no right or wrong way.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it's how it comes to you. Again, some days I can punch out a reel in like 2
Yeah.
minutes or less, right?
Yes.
And other days it's like doom doom doom. And then yes, do I get some help from my friend ChatGPT, which by the way I really need to
Yes.
name them,
Yep.
but it's sometimes just to get my ideas organized.
Yeah.
And then to your point earlier, it was like, all right, repurposing. So if I have one
Yeah.
great piece of content that's performed well in one way, so whether
Yeah.
that's a long form piece of content, how do I want to take that now and make it shorter, more
Mhm.
digestible, into a step by step or a carousel, from a LinkedIn article to an Instagram carousel to then a story to a reel. So don't ever forget the repurposing, especially if you see a piece of content that is performing well, that is inviting people to join the conversation, be a part of the conversation, leave their ideas, something like this. And then how do you repackage it and serve it up differently? And you'll see lots of people do this, whether it's music. Let's go with music. I follow a lot of artists right now, music artists, and when they're launching a new song, okay, as an example, so you can put this in your own idea bucket of, oh, I'm going to launch a product. It's not a one and done. They don't just make one piece of content and go, hey, my new song's out, download it here. They will do 10, 15 different reels of the same course in a different way and then serve it up, because that reinforcement needs to happen, and then they'll take it from a static post of the behind the scenes of making the music video to now a, hey, here's a reel of them producing it, and here they're moving it to a story with the clickable link to grab the song, and download it today. So you have to think about those pieces as well. I like to view my content as not, and there are cases for one and done, but most of the time I'm not thinking about just
Yeah.
one piece of content.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to think about, if this performed well, great, or what were the highlights of this
Mm-hmm.
blog or LinkedIn article, and how do I flip that out and make it consumable on another platform
Yeah.
that's going
Yeah.
to perform similarly
Yep.
better, sometimes worse, but then you go, okay, well, what did I forget? And I also want to encourage people to give themselves grace too. So what if you forgot a call to action? There's this thing called
Yeah.
the edit button. Go back, go back
Yeah.
and add it, or then take that piece of content, throw it up into an Instagram story with a different call to action, or a subscribe now, or did you like these 3 tips? Go visit the rest, or read this, blog for the remaining 5. There's just so many ways to take your content that was 6 months old, 6 weeks old,
Yeah.
dare I say, the evergreen, right? 6 years ish, and repurpose it, give it new life, stick a
Yeah.
trending audio to it, have another CTA that's more relevant for what you're trying to do right now. You don't always have to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Same comfortable thing is great, but if the results aren't there, that's usually a sign you have to change it up and
Yeah.
introduce something new. That was a lot. I like to go with a lot. I'm now fully caffeinated, so back over to you, Elizabeth.
You're hilarious. Um, so one part of my content creation process with this, especially because I do a lot of talking head videos for my clients, is they'll send me the raw footage. So it's them messing up, it's them cursing, it's them like in a hot mess, like unraveling on camera. And so I get this A roll that's like never mind. I'm not gonna finish that sentence. But one of my first steps that I do is I grab the transcript from it. Now I'm Adobe Creative Cloud user, so there's I'd have to think through how you could pull the transcript from it, but I start by pulling that, and then I create myself. I use my iPad. I create a PDF version of the transcript that's got space in it, but you could print out a double spaced version of this. There's no like right or wrong answer to this. But then I'll go back and watch this longer video with because if you just need to do a flow of consciousness, if you're not a person that like does, and so that's what this is. And I'll go back and watch the video on double speed because nobody has time to sit there and listen to people's pauses while they're thinking. And I will go through and mark out all of the sections with the marker that I have. In fact, I can show you the one that I was working on this morning, but I'll go through and mark out all the things that I don't want, like this. You can see I've just gone through this transcript and just marked out everything that I don't want to hear. And then I will also go back through. I haven't done it with this one yet, but I will add in places that I think graphics are appropriate. Like if I'm going to add any icons or any stickers or animations or any facial expression that needs to be covered up, I'll think through the slides that I need to add. So I'm going through it and editing a first draft raw rather than trying to do it in an app trying to edit it. And several of the apps have a functionality that you can do text-based editing. Premiere has this. So basically what I just showed you, I can highlight that whole section of text and delete it, and it will edit the video to that. There's CapCut, I know, does this too. You can have text-based editing in there, but also Descript is another one that if you edit the text, it will edit the thing. But that's how I start my edits for these longer videos that I'm trying to make a lot shorter. And anyway, and then I think through how I'm going to add in B-roll and other things to that video side of things. And so anyway, I wanted to include that into the process. Steph, you talked about repurposing. We have like 3 minutes left. I want to talk about scheduling and publishing, etc. So for myself, I've worked with all different types of schedulers before. I've worked with Later and Buffer, and Canva has its own scheduler, it's etc. But I have found for me it's easier because if I'm working with multiple clients that using the Meta Business Suite, excuse me, is easier to use. And so I will, if you've never done it, go to business.facebook.com and link up your Facebook page and your Instagram page in that place. But they have a content calendar in there where you can actually schedule your content if you if you get that far ahead, which I rarely do. You can schedule your content out, and it'll actually let you schedule reels. You can add cover photos. You can tag people, tag locations, do all the things that you would normally do within the apps. In the Meta Business Suite is where that happens. Then you can schedule it to both Instagram and Facebook in one place, in one setting, and it'll even let you toggle the preview between the two to see what it looks like on that side of things. Even carousel posts. Now, Facebook treats them differently. You just have to know that that's the way that's going to be. But Instagram is swipeable. Facebook puts them all in a jumbled up pile. But LinkedIn also has a way to schedule. If you go to the LinkedIn page and you have a post, there's a little, when you're about to hit publish, there's either a little 3 dots or a little clock down by the bottom, and it'll say schedule this post, and then you can choose to schedule it for a later date. But it's a way for you to kind of get ahead and not have to panic post in the last minute. I also recommend having all of your stuff in one place. So that includes if you're posting a video, if you're posting a cover photo, and then also texting yourself the caption that you created. I forgot to tell you how to do captions real quick. I do pull the final transcript from my shorter videos, and then I go to ChatGPT. And you need to think through the formula of how you're asking ChatGPT questions. So I will say, I just finished editing a video. Here is the transcript. I copy and paste it. And then always ask the question at the end, not at the beginning. At the end, say, now referring to this video, please write a caption for me that's funny or engaging or whatever, and include a call to action to whatever, and I'll include that. And then after it generates that, I'll make little adjustments to it, but then after that I'll say, now give me a short phrase that I can put on the cover photo that is a part of this. And so then I'll go take that go to Canva and do that. Something I didn't talk about is creating templates for yourself. I do this in After Effects. I create graphics templates that are branded to my client, like brand guidelines. So I just have to change out the text in that, but you can do that in Canva as well. Create templates for yourself that are on brand for you and just simplify that so you can just change out the text part of it. But you can do the same for cover photos. Create a template cover photo and then just change out the photos and the text that's in it. And then you can quickly jump in and do that and have all that stuff created. Oh my goodness, I'm handing things over to you, Steph, because it's 10:30. You could talk about scheduling stuff and close us out for
Oh,
the day.
I love it. Well, again, it just proves that when you talk about content creation, there we can go and we can go and we can break it down and break it down and break it down. At the end of the day, let's back it up for me. Do I schedule or do I do it live? I do a combination. Okay. Like you, Elizabeth, I have used so many schedulers from Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Yes, Canva, to even scheduling in platform and using Meta, of course, for some of my clients. Again, I think the client work always takes precedent in my life. And so I'm getting that done and putting it out there and scheduling it and making it look just so. And then on the take root side, if I'm being completely honest, because that's how I live my life, is to say that it's kind of a hot mess some days. So some days it is like I am so on top of it. I used to definitely spend more time doing batch content creation on the weekend, even if that was 1 hour, because I would go through my little mind mapping exercise and break down with my content pillars of a third, and a third, educational, inspirational, a little sprinkle of me, my business, my products, my services, and do all of those things. And then life happened and it got really busy. And so I spend less time doing batch content creation. But when I'm in flow, from a creative side, my version of creative, because I'm certainly can't even draw a stick person. But when I have those ideas coming, I really do want to at least blast out one idea in multiple forms: short form, long form, captions, thinking about those CTAs. Where is it that I want to send them next? How do I want to engage my community? It's all part of that bigger bucket. Your marketing strategy, it's not and it should not be a one and done. If you're watching us on replay and you're going, yeah, you know what, some of those cake pop strategies and all the other stuff, like, that's really cool. Give yourself some grace, but also set aside time. It's not just about pushing out content. While we're talking the whole conversation today around content creation in the process, you have to also set aside time to actually engage with other creators content. If you really want to start building community, if you really want to join conversation, start conversation, bring conversation over onto your platforms, you have to engage in other people's content. So process, great. Have one, whatever one works for you. We've given a lot of tips and tricks that we use when we can, even if we're scrambling to get some things done some days. But again, when you've been doing it a little bit longer, I think our flow and our process can be a little more loose because we understand a little bit more about maybe how the platforms are working, or the fact that how we just want to show up on the platforms. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Press the buttons, push out the content, and keep showing up. Elizabeth, I'm throwing it to you for last words and to close us out.
Yes. So, Stephanie, when you just said that, I was listening to a podcast last week and it said perfection is a ruthless taskmaster. And the reason that like that you're operating in perfection is because you're never happy. Isn't that sad? And I'm never happy with it. But there is a part where if I know that I've strived for excellence in it, then I can put that to rest and say, no, you know what? With the tools that I had, with the information I was given, I've done the best that I can. And so I want to say that as well. There was a post today, Steph, from Vanessa Lau. I don't know if she hasn't, she kind of just disappeared off for a little while, but she came back on and she's like, I'm in this mindset of doing like all the things that I just talked about and mentioned. She's like, I'm in this mode of if I'm going to create content, I've got to sit down and write the script and I got to put my makeup on and I've got to like get in that place for all of this. And that's what creating content was when she was doing it. She said, but then I get on and I see these other Gen Zers that have already posted 10 videos while I'm still thinking about my one. And so I do want to cut people that break too, to just say, don't forget everything that we just said. And just show up online and start creating content and just start talking. What she said, what I loved though, Steph, is she said we need to stop thinking about curating the content and treat it more like a group text. And I really liked that because, like, even I think about the memes and the stuff that you send and that type of stuff of creating content that it makes it feel like a community, because this is what I would send to my friends. And so anyway, how can you harness that? Anyway, we want to thank you all so much for joining us. Please join us on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Mountain Central. I should know this by now. Um, on that side, we are just super thankful that you join us and every time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Stephanie and I, because we really love formulating our content around things that you guys want to know more about. So please submit your ideas for topics and ask those questions, and we will do our best to answer you in the next show. And so we'll see you next Tuesday, 10 a.m., 8 a.m. Central. Cups up. I don't have a cup. A marker's up. Hi. All right. Bye, guys. Oh, I almost